Right then, here we go. Aston Martin Valhalla on a racetrack. So let's just get it into race mode, put it into manual. Let's see what's what. So we've got over 1,000 horsepower from a 4-litre twin turbocharged V8, originally developed by AMG but updated somewhat by Aston Martin, and that's paired to a hybrid system with a 6 kilowatt-hour battery just behind me and 3 electric motors. Hit the rev limiter for a total output of just over 1,000 horsepower. Now those electric motors, 3 of them, 2 are on the front axle, 1 powering each wheel, and the 3rd is between the engine and the gearbox, so it's 4-wheel drive. It means you get huge traction coming out of the low-speed corners. 0 to 60, 2.5 seconds. Top speed, 217 miles an hour. Active aero front and rear. 600 kilograms of downforce. In total, okay. 170, 180, 190, 200 kilometers an hour, 210, 220, 230, instinct, 240, 250, brake, turn in, brake some more. I'm not attacking this corner at all, but that's okay. Probably pulling some pretty weird faces driving this. Got an 8-speed dual clutch transmission, paddles behind the steering wheel. And that's one of the many firsts from Aston Martin in this car. It's the first mass-produced mid-engine car. It's the first plug-in hybrid. It's the first to have an 8-speed DCT gearbox. And some others that I can't remember right now. Oh, I'm getting really warm in here. We're in northern Spain. And because it's Aston Martin, because they want you to experience things that the customers might experience, we arrived here by helicopter this morning. Didn't fancy the traffic from San Sebastian, so we flew here over the Pyrenees. What is my life? So I've got it in race mode, which is the sort of the spiciest of the 4 drive modes, but I've got ESP on, so I've got the stability control well and truly on. You can turn it off, and then you get, I think, 9 or 10 different levels of intervention. You can turn it fully off if you're particularly brave, which I'm not. So despite the ESP being on, and I'm sure it is saving me from myself, it's really quite subtle. That was hitting the rev limiter again. The intervention from the ESP, it's nice and subtle. You barely know it's happening, which gives you so much confidence because it makes you feel like you're driving it flat out. And that it's all you, but to be honest, the system's probably catching me a little bit. steering is just so immediate. And it looks and it sounds like a bit of a beast. And especially so when you see the spec sheet, but it's so accessible. I'm going to be driving it on the road a little bit later. So when you brake in track mode, with the active aero doing its thing, you can see the rear wing pop up. There's no rear windscreen, so instead of a mirror, I've got a camera and a screen up here. And it is quite fun seeing that wing pop up to act as an air brake when you hit the pedal. One criticism I have is I keep pressing buttons on the steering wheel by accident, and I keep hitting the rev limiter, but that's just driver error. Oh, I'm getting warm now. You can just trust the car so much, you can lean on it, and there's just a reassuring amount of roll in the corners. Aston said it's worked really hard to make this car compliant on the road and trustworthy on the track. That was nice. I've got a G meter in front of me, so you can see what we're doing. Hit the brakes. 1.1 G of braking there. Not a hint of ABS. Those electric motors, they're providing another couple of hundred horsepower on top of the 800 or so developed by the engine. And you can really feel them pulling you out of the corners. But it doesn't feel like the sort of shove you get from a full EV. The engine is the main character, but the electric motors just, they torque fill. They help out when the turbos perhaps can't quite do what you want them to, when they're still just spooling up a little bit. So the result is very little in the way of perceivable turbo lag. Again, Aston Martin said they didn't want it to feel like it had electric shove. The brakes are just brilliant. 410 mil, I think, on the front, 380, 390 on the back. And you're getting some regen as well from the motors. Okay, that's the checkered flag. Wow. Okay, back into the pit lane. That's it for track driving now for me. I'm gonna have some lunch, and then we're gonna swap into a different car with different tyres and go and do the road route. So I'll see you there. So the Aston Martin Valhalla then, it's a 2-seat, 2-door supercar, hypercar maybe? Supercar, I think. And it looks like a pretty serious piece of kit, right? And from where I'm sitting, yeah, it is. My feet are high up, my ankles are about the same height as my hips. I'm quite reclined in the seat. not much adjustability, but if you bought one of these, you'd have it fitted to you. Now, Aston says this car is forgiving on the racetrack and approachable on the racetrack, but also easy to use on the public road. And I don't know if you noticed then that it went into electric only. So it is a plug-in hybrid, it will go into electric. It currently has 0 kilometers of electric range, but when the battery has some charge in, which it gains either by being plugged in or you driving and it regenning, when there is some range in the battery, it'll turn into a front-wheel drive electric Aston Martin supercar, which sounds mad, but that's just the world we live in, isn't it? The clever, clever world we live in, where supercars can turn into front-wheel drive EVs in the pursuit of efficiency and performance. That engine does wake up pretty quickly when you ask it to. So 4 drive modes: EV, right, it'll just be an electric; Sport, which is the default; Sport Plus, which gives you maximum power; and then Race, where the active aerodynamics get involved. We've got movable elements in the front for the front wing, and we've got an active rear wing that gives you downforce in the corners on track, and then it acts as an air brake when you brake, and there's a DRS function that gets rid of the downforce, gets rid of the drag for maximum top speed. I was driving on track earlier and it is blisteringly quick. The 4-wheel drive gives it huge amounts of traction. But out here on the road, it's actually quite civilized, you know? I'm not having to shout. It's not uncomfortable. Like I said, I'm sitting back a fair bit in this seat. It's really quite relaxing. I've got air conditioning, I've got a Bowers & Wilkins sound system. There you go. A fully electric front-wheel drive Aston Martin, driving along at 80 kilometers an hour, the speed limit on this road. You won't annoy your neighbours turning it on early on a Sunday morning or returning home late. I think it'll do this up to about 80 miles an hour. And you get about 15 kilometers of electric-only range when it's full. Okay, it can do it, but I'm not interested in that anymore. Maybe we should go into manual, take control of the gears with the paddles, a few downshifts, and the car wakes up. Those upshifts, they give you a real kick in the back, like a proper DCT should, to be honest. It's supposed to be a little bit aggressive. You get that little surge of electric power. Whoa! Oh, it's just that, the punch of electric and then the swell of torque from the turbos. Oh, wow. So of course those motors are being used for torque fill, to give the engine a little bit more performance while the turbos are spooling up, gets rid of turbo lag. And then of course in the corners, you've got torque vectoring across the front axle, each motor working independently, accelerating or braking each wheel to help you turn into corners, to help deliver the power, to help slow down. It's not a tuneful soundtrack, and although it is loud, it's not overbearingly so. It's a big turbocharged, electrified bruiser. 1,100 newton meters of torque, that's enormous. And on the track that meant actually I was hitting the rev limiter a few times because you kind of think it's going to rev a bit more. The red line is at about 7,000 RPM. And it gets there so quickly with that electric shove and the turbocharging that it actually catches you out sometimes. You end up smashing into the rev limiter. The steering, I know we're only driving through a town here, but on track, and when you're up to speed a bit on the road, the steering, it's so precise, it's so alive. It's not wriggling around in your hands at all, but it's just so quick. You know, I haven't driven a car like this for a little while, and you sort of forget quite how much immediacy steering on a car like this has compared to a regular car. So very, very easy to go over the speed limit without trying. Now, Aston Martin says this is a perfectly usable car. There's a nose lift, although you don't really need it for getting around town. You'd only need it over some really big speed bumps or if you've got a very steep driveway. There's no storage space though, which it's a little bit disappointing. But otherwise, yeah, it's to be considered a practical car to some extent. Maybe not a practical car, but a usable, approachable, dare I say it, comfortable car. Because it actually rides with amazing compliance. It was sat so low down, and the way the windscreen is shaped, it really is just it really is just like peering out of a letterbox. But it makes you feel so involved with the car. Little flutter from the turbo wastegate then. The steering is so quick, you never really need to move your hands at all. Wow. That was just a little bit of throttle. And we've got Apple CarPlay there. You can probably see on the other camera that I've got an iPhone connected. It's so nice to finally have an Aston Martin with a DCT gearbox. For years now, the cars have been getting better and better and with more and more performance. They've really been turning into proper Ferrari and McLaren rivals. But they've always had a slightly slow gear change because they've lacked the DCT, the dual clutch transmission. But that's here now, and it really makes a difference. There's a real weight to the steering, and on the track earlier I was really working up a bit of a sweat. It's nice, you know, you need to put a little bit of effort in to get the most out of it. It's not skill-wise necessarily, but just a little bit of physical effort into the steering and into the brakes. The brake pedal's pretty firm, which is reassuring, but you need to give it quite a press the first couple of applications just to get used to it. Squeaking brakes there a little bit. Huge discs on this car. Huge carbon brakes, 400 and some millimeters at the front, almost 400 at the rear as well, 380 I think, 390. Optional magnesium wheels save 12 kilograms. You probably would spec those, wouldn't you? Why not? See, I'm wincing a little bit when I see a bump in the road, but there's really no need to because it just rides with so much compliance. It's absolutely remarkable. I'm wincing for bumps coming up that in my MX-5 would knock my fillings out, but this, it just isn't doing that at all. It feels more compliant than an Aston Martin Vantage, to be honest, which perhaps rides a little bit too firm. So that battery then, it has been doing a little bit of charging while I've been driving, and it's currently showing 2 kilometers of range. But that's sort of the point, is that it's just putting enough energy into the battery so that the next time you call upon it, it's ready to deploy some, and then when you slow down, it regens. Like what we're seeing in Formula 1 these days, with batteries constantly charging and deploying. Oh, I can't see. You're sat so low sometimes you can't really see over the crest of the road ahead of you. This car can get you into so much trouble with the law. Better start summing up then, really. It's absolutely phenomenal. I was a little bit apprehensive getting in this morning, unfamiliar car, $1 million, £850,000 plus options and customization, 1,000 horsepower, an unfamiliar racetrack. I was a little bit nervous, but I didn't need to be at all. This car is so approachable. It's so easy. It's on your side. I feel you would learn so much driving it because it doesn't bite. It doesn't scare you off straight away. It encourages you to push on, to be honest, and to learn how to get the most out of it. It's a hell of a thing. It isn't perfect though. There are a few small negatives. There's no boot space. I mentioned this earlier. There's just nowhere to put anything. There's a little bit of storage down here. There's a little pocket in each door. Obviously that closes because the doors lift up, so stop things falling out. As compliant and comfortable as it is, you might struggle a little bit if you're driving in the city, obviously. I saw Gordon Ramsay was driving his Valhalla in London a couple of weeks ago. I mean, fair play, because it's a big car and you're sat so low that it can feel a little bit intimidating looking out. But having said that, the mirrors are really good, very well positioned, good size. I don't have a rear view mirror, but I have got a camera, and that works very well. So maybe you'd get used to driving it in traffic. That's enough of the negatives. Let's get on to the positives. The performance is huge. It really is all you ever need in this sort of car. We're in that strange position where I drove the electric Porsche Cayenne last week, and that car is more powerful than this, and it weighs a ton more, but it has the same 0 to 60 time. It's a weird world we're living in now, so it feels like you can't really compare cars in a top trumps manner anymore, because with electrification they could all do 0 to 60 in 2.5 if you wanted them to. They could all have 1,000 horsepower, but this stands out because of the way it looks, of course, and the way it drives. But the way it's got an engine. If this were electric, it would still feel a bit soulless, I think. Because it makes a noise, because there are vibrations and there are gears and you can hear the turbocharger making noises, it just feels so much more exciting. There's character. There's a good reason why Aston Martin hasn't got involved with electric cars yet, and it's because you can make one that is electrified, but it's like this. I think overall the biggest positive is the approachability. The fact that you can just jump in this car and drive it pretty much as quick as you want to within 20 minutes of getting onto an unfamiliar racetrack. I mean, if that isn't a good side of a supercar, I don't know what is. It's not scary, it's on your side, it's massively quick, there's drama because it's got those doors and just the way it looks. Wow, and the way it rides so well, so much better than I expected it to. So there you go. That's the Aston Martin Valhalla, £850,000 plus options, plus you could go to Aston Martin's Q department and get loads of tailored options if you want. Absolutely phenomenal car. Highly recommended. Go out and buy one now if you can. There's only 999 of them. They might all be sold, I'm not sure, to be honest. I think they've delivered a couple of hundred of them now. It's Aston at the top of their game, and I know the business isn't as healthy as it should be, but the product is top notch. All of Aston's cars at the moment are brilliant, and this is just another one. So thank you very much for watching. Please click like, click subscribe, and I'll see you on another video very soon.